Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Thank you so much to everyone who's here for the start of the show. I don't know how many people we got watching yet, but I know it's going to be a big show tonight. I really appreciate everyone who's here because I know that the president is still on, and he is, of course, in his normal form, which is just completely outstanding. We've got some incredible guests tonight. The first person that we're having on the show in the first hour, that is author, researcher, journalist, NeonRevolt. Thank you so much for being here, Neon. And then in the second hour, we've got Ellen Zhu. She is the Republican candidate for San Francisco mayor. We know how many problems San Francisco's having, so maybe it is time that they start electing someone of a different political flavor. Well, Ellen and her political team are going to be here in the second hour, so I want to tell them preemptively thank you for showing up. But right now, I would like you to welcome my guest, NeonRevolt. Neon, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Red Pill. Thanks for having me. Hope you're doing well.
I am doing well. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. Thanks.
Yeah, that's about all you can do. Well, we've almost got 400 people here. So before we get into it, let me do a couple of shout outs. I see people from Michigan, West Virginia, so North Dakota, Kansas, Mississippi. Let's see, St. Louis, Malta, Illinois. Oh, yeah, people from all over. Herkimer, Fuddwater, there he is. And Geezer, man, lots of my regulars here. I see my mod and my good friend Methods. Thank you so much. He says someone needs to tell Trump that Red Pill is on so he can wrap the rally up. Please, tweet at the president. M. Big says, on behalf of the great state of Texas, I'd like to apologize for Beto O'Rourke. Now, may we never speak of him again. Yeah, did you hear the good news, Neon? Beto O'Rourke has finally dropped out of the race. I mean, spiritually, he's been out for, virtually the whole time he was in the race, but...
I mean, who could have seen that coming? I think it was Razor Fist who tweeted out, is he going to give his announcement in English or Spanish?
He probably did both. He filmed it twice. Jojo K, glad you're here, Jojo K. Good to see you. So, Neon, you just had an incredibly successful book launch. So yeah. I wanted to say congratulations. My hat's off to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. You basically fought against the entire publishing industry and proved that the content you had was something that people really wanted to read. I mean, how many? Can you tell us how many copies you ended up selling on the Indiegogo?
Yeah, we moved about 5,000 copies through the Indiegogo, which was, no small feat. So that was great to see. We're moving into Amazon now. I can tell you that Amazon has ordered from us 7,600 copies.
Oh, wow.
So, we're looking at just over 12,000 right now, almost 13,000. And here's the thing. The key, this is what I've been explained, is basically if you sell minimum 10,000 copies within the first week of your launch, and specifically for the industry, you have to pick a launch date, right? There's this whole thing systemized. So my launch date, I believe it's November 6th. I think it was originally November 5th, but we had to push it back a day. If you sell 10,000 copies, you end up on as a candidate for like the New York Times bestseller list and the Wall Street Journal's bestseller list. And that becomes almost a feedback loop in and of itself. So in all honesty, that's been one of the big strategies I've been trying to push for this whole time is I wanted to print in excess of what I needed to just fulfill the demand in order to get the message out as far and as wide as possible so that once it hit those lists, it could keep going. And I have full faith that we'll be able to. The funny thing about it, though, believe it or not, even though technically we're already there, all the copies I sold on Indiegogo don't count for that. So despite the fact that we moved 5,000 copies through there, for whatever arcane publishing industry reason, they decide, oh, no, that doesn't count. So they kind of stack the deck against this way of doing things, which I think is totally backwards.
Yeah.
Especially, when self-publishing and things like crowdfunding are becoming more of the standard for so many, not just myself, but so many other writers who just encounter roadblocks inside the publishing industry. It's really profound that they would block that. I guess it's almost like they don't want competition.
I was just going to say, I tend to think that that's exactly it. But here's the thing. I mean, considering the state of the publishing industry and, I guess how finicky readers are, or perhaps how much more intelligent readers are these days. I mean, you got a book like, I don't know, the Jim Comey book or the Andrew McCabe book. It comes out and it flops. Nobody wants to read it. But those publishing companies paid millions of dollars in advances to those guys. You would think that they would be watching something like the launch of your book, seeing how successful it was, and then going and seeking it out. I mean, you've already got a built-in fan base. They know that, they probably don't have to pay you millions of dollars, but they could pay you what you're worth, and save a lot of money and then make a lot more money. It just seems like, they would have people looking into areas like this, considering the way that things are changing in publishing.
I'll tell you this much. There are probably publishing's dominated by leftists for the most part. And any sort of conservative print house is generally under the umbrella of a larger leftist print house. So all in all, there's only about 6 publishers that would even consider publishing my book. Every other publisher is just like, we're not touching this. So when we went to those 6, 5 of them said they loved it. They all said they wouldn't touch it. The one at the biggest house said, this is unbelievable. If any of this starts happening, you come back here and we will buy it. So, I said, well, at least I know I have the quality that I need, the level of quality. And that's actually seems to be the response. People really seem to be loving it. And for that, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful I got to be able to write this thing and put it in their hands, because this, in a way, takes it out of the online space and puts it in reality, in a way that maybe we haven't really considered or just that we didn't realize before. So that was really my goal. And just, as I said before, to try to spread the message as far as I humanly could, as far as one man could, working on his own against the system.
Absolutely. One of the things about physical media is that I think that it endures in a different way than digital media. Because I mean, digital media may be, I guess, much more convenient to spread. I mean, certainly it's more easy to pirate, which is not really a good thing for the content creators. But, when you have a book and you can hold that in your hands, that you have an entire group of people out there who would probably greatly value this material and what you have to say, that they're never going to get on a computer. They're only going to be reading, Reader's Digest or whatever their physical paper is. That's how they get their news. And now they can pick up your book, which basically it's a primer. I mean, it goes from basically the beginning and in depth through everything. It's very well written. I haven't gotten very far because I just got it about a week ago, but I'm really enjoying it, and I know that a lot of the people watching here tonight have purchased their copies, and they've got it too. Now, what do you think about that? I mean, what do you think about that physical nature of a book versus a digital PDF?
There's nothing wrong with digital. I'll say that right now, especially in terms of, the reach you can get with digital and just production capacity. You don't have material costs when you're related to digital. And that's actually going to be huge for this book in particular, because now we don't have to ship books overseas necessarily, unless someone really wants to. I know I have some fans overseas that are willing to pay through the nose, but not everybody has that ability. So the ability to be able to distribute to everyone around the world cheaply and efficiently can't be understated. But you're right, there is something more about having a tangible book in your hands that just brings a level of credibility and a level of importance to the subject that, suddenly you're not looking at, oh, this site looks fringy or it looks conspiratorial or you're talking about, there's a professional presentation, there's a professional layout, a lot of time, a lot of thought went into presenting and laying out all the information in a way that pretty much anyone can understand. So I personally felt that this was missing from the Q movement, and I hope people seem to think, I was able to nail it with this book. So hopefully, they're already asking me for part 2. It's like, well, guys, I just spent a year writing this. I'm exhausted, in all honesty. But I would definitely actually at some point consider writing a part 2 as events progress. But it might take me another a year or two. So,
well, I wouldn't fault you for that. Real quick, Dylan McConnell said, "Crazy, not crazy, Fugazi, I'm the Swayze." It sounds like some lyrics to something. I don't know what that is. Dylan, thank you for that. That guy's funny. Bedridden Bear Sheila says, "God bless you. Loved your testimony with God's Guy." Oh, thank you very much. I enjoyed that, and I do miss God's Guy and Gina. Also, I saw some people asking if Linda Paris was going to be here tonight. Linda Paris is not going to be here tonight. She's going to be here next Friday. We had a couple of things go wrong behind the scenes, but it ended up working out better for Linda, and it ended up working out better for us because I want to be able to spend as much time as we can with Linda. Deplorable McAllister. She's a pretty funny gal. I like her. Well, so, obviously you're not going to sit down and write a part 2, but do you have, at this time, what are you doing right now? Are you just letting yourself take a breather, or are you kind of sitting back?
A little bit taking a breather. People don't realize sometimes how much work goes on behind the scenes, especially with running the Great Awakening group that I run on Gab, and how much more active that has become since we'll call it the fall of 8chan.
Yeah.
It's been, but you know what? It's been a great little bunker, and it reinforced, it made me really feel like it was the right decision when I decided to make that group over on Gabs. We have a lot of great people over there sharing breaking news you can't find anywhere else as soon as it happens. So if you haven't checked it out, you can go to my profile over on Gab, and there's a link in the sidebar, because I'll never say it's taking the place, but it has certainly been so helpful in coordinating Anons and their efforts.
Now, where do you get to it? There it is.
Right there, the group/2043.
Oh, it won't let me sign in. That's right. I tried doing this earlier. Guys,
Oh.
I'm having some kind of a problem with my Gab account. It won't let me into it, and it won't send me, or perhaps my Gmail account won't deliver my password resent. Herkimer Fuddwaddle says, "Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I." Thanks for that, Herc. Yeah.
Well, just to follow up on that,
Please.
just so you guys know, if you're on Gab and you've been having an issue with it, know that certain big tech Silicon Valley companies are starting to label Gab's emails as spam, and they're not even delivering them. So you might have to sign in with an alternate email provider, be that something like Proton Mail or whatever. I know Gmail's doing it. I believe Yahoo's doing it. A lot of people are having trouble, and they don't want you over here for a reason. They tried to deplatform Gab last year using the exact same tactics they used against 8chan. So, but it's become resilient, and now it's distributed, and it's a big deal. So come and join us.
Definitely. How many active users do you have over there right now, or does it tell you? Does it even quantify that?
Over on the group, about 8,000 right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say that you are probably the biggest proponent of Gab. Do you think anybody else could take that that title?
I think you might be right. I know other people who could take that title if they were to become a little more vocal. They haven't chosen to do that yet. But again, the reason I've been so vocal about Gab is because they do not censor you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you agree with their politics or they disagree with you or whatever. It's free speech. I've been deplatformed and censored on so many other mainstream platforms. It's ridiculous. And I'm not even doing anything all that crazy. The big problem is that I'm effective.
Yeah.
I'm effective when it comes to getting the message out about Q, and I know how to spread information and basically sidestep the deep state. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but think about back to the early days of QAnon when Microchip was saying, "Oh yeah, I actually came up with the idea for Q, blah, blah, blah." I was the guy saying, "Hey, let me sign into your Discord account and I'll check for myself." And he freaked out and melted down.
Whatever happened to Microchip? Whatever happened with that whole thing?
I left him a sobbing wreck of a human being. He's destroyed now.
Was it because of your articles?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that son of a you-know-what couldn't handle it, so screw him.
Wow. Did we ever find out who Microchip is? Is that something we can say on the air?
We can't say.
Can't say? Even if we add allegedly?
Even if we had allegedly.
Okay. I almost said it. I almost said it out loud, so I'm glad you said something. We can't say that. Well, I mean, I think that since we started talking about the Great Awakening, we mentioned 8chan. It's been since August, right?
It's been too long.
It's been way too long. How are you feeling about that?
I'm not going to say the nice thing. I am feeling doubt and wondering if it will ever come back under the current management.
Yeah.
I am surprised it has taken them this long. Okay, I'll temper that. I'll temper that for the people. There is a ray of hope. And if they're doing what I think they're doing, I will be really impressed. But I don't know if they're doing that yet. Nobody knows. So it primarily has to do with what CodeMonkey has talked about regarding Project Odin. I know people have seen the tweets and they're wondering, what is this? What is Project Odin? And there are other tweets he's done, such as, we're releasing, decentralization tools with instructions. They're coming down the line. Follow this, is it wet yet account on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's surprising to see that they haven't been able to get online with a stable ISP and upstream provider yet. But if they release a tool, which I think they're going to release, I will be very impressed. And if it only ends up being, a 3-month turnaround for that tool, I will be floored. So let me explain. The 8chan software, it's actually not as... It's a bit of a mess in that it's a lot of open source tools piled on each other to make the functional image board that you see. There are other versions of open source tools that run image boards. It's not all the same. You can sort of mix and match and build to your heart's content. There is a tool out there called NTTP-chan, which works on the NTTP protocol, which basically allows for nodes in a network to create a chan themselves, and they all mirror each other. So, and that functions across the Tor network. And essentially, instead of having one central server, you now have a swarm of 10, 20, hundreds, however many are running this software. The big issue, as far as I understand it, is moderation of content across those nodes, along with obviously the security issues that come from being on the Tor network.
Right.
But
well, I mean, also the how difficult that would be for a lot of people. If you're not familiar with how to do that, then there's a bit of a learning curve.
I would be more than happy to inform people how to make that happen when the time comes. That's not a problem.
All right, sweet.
And I'm confident we can overcome that, especially with the Dissenter browser put out by Gab, which has built-in Tor networking capabilities.
Good stuff.
So it would make it easier for a lot of people who may not feel technically inclined otherwise. But the larger point I'm trying to make is if they somehow manage to integrate the NTTP-chan tools with 8chan central server, that would be an unbelievable turnaround time for those 3 months. So if they pull that off, I will be impressed. But right now, we're very uncertain. We don't know what's happening. I've been wondering, what's going on, guys? Why can't you seemingly get this together? And actually, you got to watch Frederick Brennan's Twitter feed, because as much as I disagree with the guy, he is pointing out legitimate issues with the way their whole server configuration is set. So...
yeah, unfortunately, I mean, he's correct, in his assertions of what's going on, because he's been very successful in basically being the driving force between stopping them from coming back from the dead. And and they've been very busy. I've been trying to get Jim to come on for an interview. He said that he would, but we haven't been able to talk because it seems like all their time is being devoted right now to trying to get this to work in some configuration or another.
I hope so. There was an issue where Brennan tweeted out the other day that he thought the reason they kept trying different, I think the company is called Zare or Zare, Z-A-R-E.
Okay.
Why they were trying different, I'm going to say Zare hosts. They were using a bunch of different resellers to get new IPs, was because they thought that the cable going into the facility where they house their servers was only a Zare cable. So they had no other choice. And then they tweeted out the pic of them moving the servers the other day. So it looked like Brennan's speculation was correct on that front, where they only had the one line into the facility, and now they needed to move to a new facility in order to get access to other providers. So I think they are going to have to figure out, well, they're definitely going to have to figure out who's going to be their service providers. But go ahead.
I mean, considering the reputation that they've gained, correctly or not, because I believe it's completely incorrect. What option do they have besides perhaps moving it completely offshore?
Well, obviously the decentralized version is an option.
Yeah.
But you got to get the code out, and you got to get a critical mass of users actually hosting it themselves to make that work. There's also, I don't really see any other option other than finding someone who will vocally support free speech. But here's the problem. A lot of those guys then have to deal with trying to figure out what their banking infrastructure is, because this is not just, an issue of tech companies deplatforming them. It's financial companies as well. If the financial companies say, we're not going to let you, process credit cards anymore, or a bank comes to them and says, we're not going to hold your account anymore, what recourse do they have? And we're really getting to a point now where I think there needs to be legislation against this kind of stuff. You have to almost go into the legal realm, and because what we're basically seeing is tortious interference on a global scale. It's becoming. Vox Day had the point the other day. Imagine if a car company sold you a car, and then someone could remotely decide that you couldn't drive down the street because they didn't like, an opinion you expressed on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of what's happening right now. And it needs to stop. Vox Day is coming out with a whole set of tools to apparently stop this trend dead in its tracks, but he's not ready to release it yet. He says it's coming later in the year. So got to keep an eye on him and what he's doing. I think it's going to be very important moving forward. Until then, this also ties into the issue of Q coming back and what we actually need from Q. I've been very impressed with the way the Q community has handled this whole thing. We've really come together. We've really stayed on target. We're following the news. We're seeing through the lies. We're forcing the deep state to respond every single day in ways they've never had to before. And we're basically crushing it, even in the absence of Q. So I don't see any huge reason to be discouraged. Ultimately, the goal of Q is to make a media force to counteract the messaging of the Mockingbird media. And this is what we have now.
Yes.
As long as we stay together and stay on target, that's going to keep happening no matter what. Even if Q never comes back, we're still advancing every single day. And we still see the hints. We still see, Trump just said in his speech the other day, these people are sick. These people are sick.
Yep.
We get it. We're going to keep getting it.
I think that more people get it every single day. Just a couple quick things. I needed to say thank you to Ban-An81. Jeff Stewart, thank you for that as well. Okay, so we have a couple of anons that people want me to ask about. SoCali Conservative says, thanks for all you do, Red Pill. Great to have you on. Neon, special prayers going out to my good friend Suki. And then Dana Finkler says, talk soon about that benefit. Hope all is well. That's right, guys. I am going to be doing a benefit for my friend Dana at some point here in the future. We're in the process of getting it all set up. So I completely agree with you. In my mind, the majority of the goals of the movement set up by Q have been fulfilled. We have created this counter force to the mainstream media, and we are delivering and controlling information like never before in the history of this place here. The United States, the world, it doesn't matter. We have created something that just didn't exist before. And you mentioned that you're effective. I'd say that the people in our sphere are very effective.
Absolutely.
Because and it's a testament, because we keep getting shut down. We keep getting throttled. We keep getting deplatformed and depersoned.
Imagine if the playing field was fair.
Oh, yeah, we would absolutely dominate, and they can't allow that to happen. Now, just because of that, if Q never comes back, I feel safe and secure because all these people have already been awakened. I think that it was meant to be, the Great Awakening, a mass awakening, which would reach a point of critical mass, at which point it would become self-perpetuating. We have qmap.pub. If anybody has a question, they want to go back and look and see what's come out, they can go ahead and do that. We talked about this the other day. There really wasn't much new information coming out in the end before it got shut down. But it was a lot of commentary. It was a lot of like, hey, remember when we said this before? Take a look at that. I'm just saying what I'm saying, guys, to prepare people in the event, the possibility that Q doesn't come back. We've all awakened. We are doing the awakening now. We're delivering this message to other people. And, if it happens, I think we're going to be okay. That's the only thing. I would love it if our favorite Anon came back and started making drops and giving us information. But, if it doesn't happen, then I'm comfortable. I'm comfy right on my own.
The way I've always felt about it was, okay, if we're in a battle and he's our commander, say we've been cut off from that command, what do you still do when you're in the middle of a warfield?
You keep fighting.
You keep fighting. You keep you know where the target is. You know where the enemy is. You keep advancing. You keep taking ground.
Yes.
That's what's required of us right now.
That's exactly it. And again, I'm not saying this because I don't want Q to come back.
Right.
I just want people to be okay if it doesn't happen, because we've still got President Trump. President Trump is talking to us on a daily basis. He's still, like you said, he's still giving us hints. He's still saying those same things, still delivering tweets, with misspellings and with certain unique formatting. In the end, nothing is going to change except that we are moving closer and closer to the final objective, which is mass arrests and these people paying for what they've done. I would just like to remind everybody, and I try to say this as often as possible, those sealed indictments are real. They are still there. They're not going anywhere, whether or not our favorite Anon ever comes back in the same form that we knew him before. A lot of this is dependent on an 8chan returning. I sure hope for Jim and everybody at 8chan that they're able to get it to come back online. But at this point, again, because of its effective nature, you have this monolithic force standing in their way and stopping them from getting it done. But someone, Crypto Beast, hey, what's up? Crypto Beast says 140,000. I heard today, 140,000 guys. Each one of those is a pair of handcuffs. Okay, so whether or not, yes, Jesse James, what's up, buddy? He says Q is coming back. Trust me. Hey, I'm not saying that Q isn't coming back. I just want people to be comfortable in their own skin. Highest Ground says we will remember these moments we have spent with Red Pill 78. I will remember all these moments too. I love you guys and I love being here. And, I'm a pragmatist at the heart of it. I have a job to do. I do that job. And like you said, if the general gets, taken out, or he's caught behind enemy lines, I'm still going to keep fighting towards that objective. And I just think that it's healthy for people to have that same type of mentality. And I know that not everybody will, but, I'd recommend it.
Right. You've got to graduate from this mentality of needing an authority figure and needing, someone to tell you exactly what to do or where to think. And you've got to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and pick a direction and move in it. And that's really, also partially why I did the book. Mm-hmm. It's, that's the tangible result of me picking a direction and making progress every single day. That people look at something like that. That book is like 500 pages. If we did a normal typeset on that, it would have easily been 600-700 pages.
Oh yeah,
we crammed every single page full of as many words as possible. But that was, again, that didn't manifest in a week. That was the result of every single day, over and over and over and over and over.
Yes.
So
now,
I think if people adopt that sort of fighting mindset, that warrior mindset, you're going to have a lot more. You're not going to get discouraged by the news. You're not going to feel that you need Daddy Q to come over and, wipe your bottom or whatever. It's just, you're going to be able to stand on your own and be independent.
Right. And people, I see lots of stuff going by in the chat. Q's a movement, not an idea, or it's not an individual. Obviously, at this point, you guys, we're all part of it. We are all Q. We are the news now. And, when I say Q, all I'm saying is whatever Anon is behind that trip code that we knew as Q on 8chan. Now, once 8kun comes online, if that's able to successfully happen, then I tend to think that we're going to see the return of that persona, that idea there. But if it doesn't happen, you guys, we are still here together and we're still moving towards the same objective.
Basically, what Red Pill's trying to say is we're all on a list now in a deep state facility, and if Hillary ever wins, we're all going to end up in the same FEMA camp together. Yeah.
We're going to Venezuela. It's safer down there. We are here together, you guys, and no matter what, it's going to be okay. We're winning, okay? I firmly believe that. I think that's really where it's coming from here. It's like, I know that we're in the end game. I can feel it. I can feel that this is happening. We are moving towards the objective, the final objective. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun. Well, let's switch gears here, because there was a drop from the FBI vault. And it was about something called the Finders. And this was something that I have known about for quite some time. And I had, a little bit of knowledge. I knew the basic outline of the story, but I don't want to take it for granted that everybody knows about the Finders. So what did you find out when you were getting into this? And who were the Finders?
Well, for those who don't know, the Finders were essentially a cult that got started by the CIA here in America that ended up going haywire, they say, and trafficking children, harvesting organs, basically a big sex cult.
Yeah.
And it was happening in the late 80s. It was uncovered in the late 80s, let's say. 87 was when these children were rescued originally, and they were taken to this police force, and they were, basically their story was that they were going to Mexico to train at this special school for these smart kids, and they had never seen things like a stapler before in their lives. What's this strange object on your desk, officer? They were being trafficked.
Yeah.
And it tied back to this school. McMartin, I believe, was the name, in Tallahassee. And multiple investigations. Turns out all sorts of tunnels. Inside the tunnels, they found satanic scrawlings. They found hundreds of animal bones. They found documents on, how to traffic children and how to mind control children. And they found classified documents about tunnels under Washington, D.C., of all things.
Yeah.
So it ended up just being this whole cover up where you had the FBI involved, the Metro Police involved, all sorts of different, like Interpol and the DOJ, and it all basically got shoved, swept under the carpet for never to be talked about again. But this is really what kicked off the satanic panic in the 80s. And the big takeaway from this for me is just, not only does this exist, and it shows that the CIA has a habit of making these kind of things happen around the world.
Yeah.
But every single, I call them Quizlings, but they're anti-Q journalists, ostensibly. I say that in air quotes, journalists. Go to their Twitter profile sometime and search satanic panic and see how they use the term. It's like the big takeaway from this is that the satanic panic was absolutely justified, and the deep state killed it before it could take off.
Absolutely. Anytime I see someone invoking that, like as a slur nowadays, it boils my blood. For people who know, we know that it was no panic, okay? It was real. This was actually happening to people. And those poor kids in the McMartin preschool, they were basically maligned by authorities. There was a trial, and then the people who were running the preschool, they got off basically because of their friends in high places. And so nowadays people will use that as, it's something that basically, tries to destroy your argument. It is connected conveniently to the Italian food gate that we had back in 2015, which was popped off by those JP emails from WikiLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's the same kind of people. And actually, I'm really surprised that there are a lot of people who are quote-unquote researchers nowadays who will act like this wasn't a real thing. And what this release did very recently was corroborate some very key parts of the stories. I mean, you mentioned the tunnels under Washington, D.C. That's something that I've heard people talk about a lot. And it would explain the movement of those, gentlemen, or I guess young boys of the night and the girls of the night that were caught in the White House, wasn't it? While Ronald Reagan was president, it was probably right around the time of the McMartin thing. There were call kids that were caught in the White House, and it was just immediately swept under the rug.
Right.
Was there any new information that came out about who had specifically helped to bury this Finders thing back in the 80s?
Well, it all happened under Sessions' tenure in not Jeff Sessions, William Sessions, the FBI director at the time. It happened under his watch. He was in from 87 to 93, I believe, and then was dismissed by Clinton at the time. But beyond that, it was very clear that this was a CIA program. And if you go to page 68, the language that the investigators use is that, are we stepping on agency toes? And they're like, well, yeah, you're stepping on agency toes here. It's like, really? But I think that even more important than that is just the takeaway of the timing. Why is this coming out now? Why was this authorized to be declassified now? I think this is setting up the narrative for later revelations to come, where mainstream journalists are going to be able to point back and say, hey, this has already happened in the past. We have I'm actually really curious to see. I haven't seen this anywhere yet, and I haven't found anything myself, but how this ties into who the current players are now.
Oh, I would say that it ties in fairly directly. I mean, in my mind, the reason I was thinking that this was declassified is because it draws parallels. So this was happening back then. This is exactly what took place. This is, the crime. This is what was covered up. And then, these are the people who were made fun of because they dared to tell the truth, or people who were convicted because they dared to tell the truth about it. And then we had a very similar situation taking back in 2015. And now, hopefully, it means that there is going to be modern day revelations coming out about people. I believe that those sealed indictments would be ripe for this kind of criminal activity to be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Real quick, Dana Finkler said, looking forward to talking soon. That's right, Dana, we will. And then Hannah BR12. Thank you very much for that super chat, Hannah. I appreciate it. Let's see. Now, how many pages of documents did they come out with?
This was 324 pages total. Wow. I'm not all the way through the document myself. I'm still working on it. But
wow. I'm going to see if I wanted to pull some of this up so that I could see it. Okay, so yeah, I mean, clearly it had always been presented to me as being directly related to the clowns. I tend to think that anytime I see something evil taking place, they've got their hands in it. Definitely, they've got their hands in it. Have you heard anything about these 2,100 children that were rescued in California? I've seen it reported on one other channel, and a lot of my viewers have asked me to look into it. And this is the only place that I've seen it. I've just been trying to corroborate it with anybody else who would be doing this similar type of research.
Believe it or not, I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay. Would you do me a favor? Could you drop a link to that Finders document in the chat so I can share it with the audience?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Someone just said you have a terrific voice.
Thank you. I'm gonna drop that in the chat right now. So this is the link to the FBI vault. You'll find the document in there, and I'll put that over here too.
Beautiful. Okay, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the chat for everybody, and we can go ahead and take a look at it together. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Neon.
Yeah.
That went through. Now let me go ahead and get this pulled up here. So yeah, it's kind of amazing to me like how few people know about this. I just took it for granted that this was something that that people were aware of. But here we are, FOIA. So this came out as a result of a FOIA request. Is that why?
Possibly. I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah. Okay, so like you said, 324 pages of documents. We've got the supervisory agent's name is redacted.
Yeah, you're going to find that throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Have you come across any names or anything that stood out to you when you were looking through this?
Rose. He was a congressman at the time who was involved in a lot of this. I think he was involved in the cover-up. Again, I haven't had the chance to look as closely as this as I would like, so
Sure.
I may be a little fuzzy on the details, but he was involved in this.
I'm going to see what we can find on that guy. John Rose. That's somebody else.
Yeah, see, I was searching earlier, and I was like, how come there's not even a Wikipedia page on this guy?
Yeah. Well, we've got a Reddit page as well that just popped up for me, but yes, congressman in Florida named Rose that they mention.
Yeah.
There it is. Well, that it's actually kind of interesting that it's from Florida, because I would hazard a guess and say that a lot of really nasty stuff goes on down in Florida, specifically through Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if we look just right starting on like page 8, we can see it says a joint investigation conducted by the MPD and WMFO led to the identification and interview of the mothers of the 6 children, 2 of the fathers, and several other key members of the Finders group. On February 18th, 1987, WMFO presented the results of their investigation to Assistant United States Attorney, it's redacted here, United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., who declined prosecution for violation of Title 18, U.S. Code Section 1201, kidnapping, and 2251, sexual exploitation of children. WMFO-SA, redacted, was the WMFO case agent in the matter. DOJ review of the USCS documents indicates that during the execution of the search warrants by the MPD at the 2 Finders properties, USCS SA, redacted, claims to have observed a substantial amount of computer equipment and documents purportedly containing instructions for obtaining children for unspecified purposes.
Oh, man.
The instructions allegedly included the impregnation of female members of the community, purchasing children, trading children, and kidnapping them.
So the whole thing is, I mean, it was a trafficking ring. The entire thing was a trafficking ring. And, this is one of the ways that they kind of obfuscated the whole thing, is just saying that it was just a cult. Right. They're just weird people.
Right.
They just happen to have a bunch of children and a bunch of materials telling them how to obtain more children. And
they're just smelly and covered in bug bites and don't have underwear on, and it's like that's the kind of stuff you're dealing with in the document.
Oh, it's terrible. Haterproof just said John Mark Dugan. Haterproof, did you ever go and sign into your other account? Because I did unblock you last time, buddy. So maybe, I don't know if you heard that last time, but I did. Let's go ahead and check that out. Who is John Mark Dugan?
I mean, there was even a part of this document that said, I forget who it was. I think it was one investigator talking to another, and the one higher up guy said, "Oh, well, you got to remember, not all Satanists are criminals." Like, that's how he's framing this issue.
Oh man. Okay, Neon, this is actually something I asked you about before the broadcast began. John Mark Dugan is the former police officer who is in Russia seeking asylum.
Right. This is the guy. Okay, you're not jostling my memory now more. Okay.
Yes. So he resigned from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office and started a one-man crusade against what he saw as pervasive corruption there. Years later, his home was raided by the FBI, and he made an escape to Russia. And he's a former Marine. What does he have? Let's see.
He claims to have Epstein tapes.
Yes, he claims to have the Jeffrey tapes. Did you know that there was a police officer that was investigating Jeffrey who died last year?
I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
You think that would have made headline news?
You would think, but he just quietly died, just out of nowhere. He's just dead.
I'm sure it was just a coincidental heart attack.
Yeah. He was only like 35, so.
Died in his sleep.
Yeah. Peaceful. Patricia Furlong, thank you for that super chat. Herkimer Fuddwaddle says, if Mike Obama registers for president to run as a woman, is that fraud? Awesome. All right. Hater Proof, thank you for telling us about this guy because I wanted to look this up. I want to see if I can talk to him. He would be great to have on the show.
Absolutely. Holy cow. Do it.
Yeah. Then BTech Vendetta says, thank you, NeonRevolt, Neon Revolt, and Methods. You guys are all great patriots. I appreciate the endless amount of time you spend finding the truth for us. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We wouldn't be here if there wasn't an audience and people who needed to learn this stuff. I had to take a couple of days off this week, Neon. I took my first day off in probably 2 months. And then I also just happened to have some construction going on at my house, so I had to take another day off yesterday. And I got to tell you, it feels a little weird when I don't work, like I tell myself, you have to take some time off. You're going to go crazy. But then I do it and I'm trying to think, how can I be productive in this time that I have decided not to be doing my job? It's impossible. Right. It's impossible.
Well, I get it, especially with H hand down and Q somewhere in the ether. It feels more like anybody who's prominent in the Q community feels a burden to sort of help in any way they can, especially now. So I'm right there with you, and that's why I had to take a little bit of time myself recently. So I hope my dear readers don't mind that too much.
I think that everybody understands. I mean, that's the sentiment that I've received, and I just wanted to say how much I appreciate it, everybody. I'm not able to write everybody back, and every now and then somebody thinks that it's them, like they're the only person I haven't written back, but it's not you guys, it's me. It's definitely me. I just get too many messages. I can't. And then Teresa Henderson says it was Senator Charlie Rose. He was a senator from the early 70s through the 90s. There we go.
That sounds right.
Not the host of the PBS show, currently on CBS.
It was actually really funny in the document. This is the brilliance of the FBI. They redacted his name in type, in that monotype.
Yeah.
But they didn't redact his signature, which very clearly read Charlie Rose. We're right underneath it. It's well, I guess we know who that letter was from.
That's great. That's hilarious. Oh, God. Let's take... I love it when they do that stuff. Do you remember, I think it was some Flynn documents that came out, and they didn't flatten the PDF. They just took the box and they put it over, then you download it. You
just turn off all the redactions. Yeah.
Yes. That was brilliant.
Geniuses.
I tried to go to duplicate that, but by the time that they figured that out, let's see. Red Pill 78. Why do men use that line? Not you, me. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I meant in terms of my inability to write everyone back. I just meant it wasn't the fault of the person who wasn't receiving a reply. It was my fault for being unable to get it all put together.
Do you need someone to blame you? I'll blame you.
No.
No, not you. I'm talking to the reader. I'll blame my reader. No, I'm kidding. I won't blame you guys.
I put enough pressure on myself. And then Dave Stealth Bomber says, any thoughts on the possible FF in Seattle on 11/3? I have heard about this from a lot of different people, but I don't know anything about it specifically. Do you know anything about this theory?
I think it's a load of hooey.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything substantial to back it up. I think it's people just freaking out because they want to have something to panic about.
That could be. Actually, I do have a couple of things that we wanted to ask you about. Do you know anything about the Anon? We'll call him BD Anon. He had another name.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been following those drops? Because I saw one tweet thread talking about them.
I follow them from time to time.
Okay.
I get a bit of a LARPy vibe from them.
What can you tell us about him?
What can I tell you specifically?
I mean, yeah, not personally. I mean, just the content of the drops. I mean, I was trying to line up dates with things that he was claiming, and it seemed like he was a couple hours behind, so he could have gotten the word about what was going to be reported.
I've not seen anything substantial in terms of any kind of serious predictions from him. I've seen a lot of like gloating after the fact and being like, oh yeah, we took care of those boys in Syria, or blah blah blah, look at Israel with blah blah blah, whatever. It almost seems like he's really leaning on confirmation bias and people wanting to buy into this kind of stuff. I will keep an eye on it. I've been keeping an eye on it, but I haven't seen anything beyond that to suggest that he's credible.
Okay.
Yet.
All right. Well, I respect your opinion. We do have a tweet from Infinite Chan. Migration is still ongoing. Some boards have a lot of content. Existing accounts for boards that are already migrated should work just the same. If everything goes right, tomorrow morning might be it. Board migration will continue after launch. Now, as someone who was previously involved with maintaining websites and transferring them from time to time, this would have been a huge website. The content on that thing, if we're just talking about text, it was a big website. But you add in pics and videos and making sure that your link associations are correct. This would be a lot of work. So I'm not particularly concerned, with the length of time that it's taking. But I mean, this is good news, right, Neon? This sounds like it's good news.
I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Sorry, guys.
I've had my heart broken too many times.
You're right. Well,
but it obviously is good news. We hope we hope and we pray for the best.
Cross your fingers, guys. Cross your fingers.
I'm not changing my course of action. My course of action is to stay on target. I'm going to keep doing what I do regardless, because that's what we all have to do.
Exactly.
If it comes back, fantastic. Let's throw a party once it happens.
Right. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Dana Finkler says, keep up the good work. Thank you, Dana. You do the same. And then Mark Lemaster says, great show at Patrice 1776. I need a favor. I know from your comment last week that you got the QAnon flag. Oh, I seem to be blocked on True Reporting live chat. If you know Thomas, could you verify if he got 3 flags? Yeah, I will definitely check that out for you. Thomas is a friend, and I did want to say, everybody, if you could keep Thomas in your thoughts and prayers. He's going through some stuff right now, and I know that he mentioned it himself, and I just keep him in your thoughts. Let's see. So Shockmister says QMAP's ID DARPA level complicated. Are you talking about the website, or are we talking about like the map, the whole thing? I don't know. Oh, somebody wants me to show Simone, you guys. Here she is.
I keep seeing some people in the comments talking about my Twitter account. Yes, Shock, I've been banned from Twitter once again, which I kind of always knew was going to happen. So no surprise there. Please, if you want to follow my updates, you got to go to Gab, where I've been for the past almost 3 years now. So that's where I post it. If you're wondering why you haven't seen articles from me, it's because I post a lot of content in a shorter form during the day, and you're missing out on a lot if you're not on Gab. So.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it looks like Luke Slytalker is in the audience. What's up, buddy? He says, great show tonight. Love NeonRevolt.
Hey, Luke. Thanks. I want to see some more of those, what are they called? Where you extract the info from the images.
Steganography.
Yes, thank you. Couldn't think of the word.
You're welcome. Yeah, I actually would love to do a follow-up on that with you, Luke, see if anything else has come up. I know that a lot of people, there were several people who contacted me, and I sent them your way in order to help out. I mean, I was really hoping that somebody would have cracked the case by now on a couple of those things, because from the way that Luke explained it, it sure sounded like there was some information there, worth a dig.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't surprise me that you would actually need the password for that kind of stuff to really open it up. So not having the password is a roadblock, unfortunately.
Yeah. Red Pill Doc says, what's up with the dual citizenship deep staters and recent Israel embassy closings? Yeah, we talked about this a little bit the other day, Neon. You know, there was a meeting between Steve Mnuchin and the Minister of Finance for that country.
Yeah.
And the next day, it was announced that the embassies everywhere, all over the world, were closing. What did you think about that?
You know, I tend to think no coincidences. And obviously, you know, I think you mentioned this last night when we talked very briefly, was anybody with dual citizenship can go and claim asylum at these embassies when you know what hits the fan.
Yep.
So if these embassies are closed when the you know what hits the fan, they have nowhere to run, which is what I'm hoping for, and I know you're hoping for. We don't know how long these embassies are going to be closed for. As far as we know, it's indefinite. So could be a couple days, could be a week, could be a couple months. No way to really know. But it is interesting to see some of the panic as a result of that.
Oh, yes. Good stuff. Also, Diane Rain said that she was kidding about the why do men always say that. I knew you were joking, but I still, you know, I'm literal. So, yeah, you know, I think we're on the same page with that. It will be interesting to see if they remain closed. I don't know of any event in history where all of the embassies anywhere shut down, unless it was because of the dissolution of a country.
Right.
Lisa Hagen says, regarding finders, U.S. Attorney in 1987, Joe DeGeneva, and 93, Eric Holder. Wow. U.S. Attorney for District of Columbia, not Attorney General. 87 was first case that was declined, 93 when it was opened up again. I didn't realize that finders had been brought to court twice.
Yeah, it was multiple times, and that's all in the doc.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
but guess who just got screenshot in case I use that in an article in the future? I had no idea it was Joe DeGenova.
Yeah, that's great. That's so great.
Wow.
That might have something to do with it. I got an interesting tip today. I've been waiting to share this one. So, would you happen to know how to get the schedule for a public servant? Let's say Matthew Whitaker, when he was acting attorney general. Is that possible? Do they have like places where their public schedules are posted?
Apart from calling the office, I don't think you could.
Okay. Well, I have a viewer. I'm not going to name her because I haven't gotten the permission to name her, but she lives in Hungary on the Romanian border. And apparently a man looking like Matt Whitaker visited her town with another law enforcement professional from her local area. Now, just recently, Rudy Giuliani had hinted at something coming out in Romania with the Bidens. And since she's right there on the Romanian border, I mean, it wouldn't be inconceivable that business could perhaps, be transacting over on between the border of Hungary and Romania both. But, I thought it would be really interesting if we could, verify and see if Matt Whitaker did any traveling in Europe at that time.
Yeah. When did this supposedly happen?
Let me actually look it up.
Because that's the big thing. Because he's, if it was like last week, I'd be wondering in what capacity did he go?
No, I believe it was last year.
Okay.
Last year. Let me see. I can pull it up right here, guys. Please be patient. Let's see. Cancel and... here we go. The date. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was last. And she says, I just looked up some vids of Matt Whitaker, and now she's 98% sure that it was him. He didn't have a suit on, just day clothes. Not much help, sorry. Well, no, it's fun. I love speculating like that, It's always interesting when
we can... any photos?
No photos. She said she was smitten though, because he's a big guy, good-looking guy, I guess.
He's Mr. Clean in the flesh.
He is, and he's wholesome too. You know, I had an article about Matt Whitaker that I wanted to show you some of the things that were in it. Let me get it pulled up here because it's pretty funny. Several of the things in there, they're trying to disparage him and make him look like he's a crackpot. But for me, it just, made me respect him all that much more. Where did it go?
Judge just asked, is this NeonRevolt? Yes, this is NeonRevolt.
Yep, this is NeonRevolt. That's right. Maybe if I search Matthew Whitaker crackpot, because that was what they called him. That's what they call him. This is from Washington Post. Oh, man, this was an organized campaign, guys, because the Washington Post, the headline, Matthew Whitaker is a crackpot, and it continues on like that. There's a bunch of different news outlets that said he's a crackpot. Trina McLean says, I love Neon. He's brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
And you too, Red Pill. I mean, you were obligated to say that, Trina. You didn't have to. Patriot. Oh, my buddy Billy at Patriot Politics Research says, Sump Red Pill 78. Any chance of you sharing the link of that interview with methods of my support for President Trump this past Monday, please? Don't know how to DM him. Yeah, I can definitely share that. Our good friend Billy was interviewed and in Chicago this past week, and he was interviewed by Subverse, which is a channel run by Tim Pool. You guys may have heard of it. I'll go ahead and throw it into the chat here, you guys, because it was a good interview, and it really did a lot to make us look good. I'm just going to say that, because anytime you see these protests, the things these people are saying, the behavior of the leftists, I love it when we've got nice, clean-cut people out there just talking about supporting the president and doing a good job with it.
And Tim Pool's coming around. He's
he's seeing it.
what I would call an honest leftist.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I'd say the same thing. He's really, he's gone from calling everything a conspiracy to, admitting that it's real.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, let's see.
Do you see that in the chat there?
What did that say?
Up at the
Oh,
up.
Thomas?
Yeah.
Love you all. Thanks for the kind words. Hey, Red Pill, we got evidence. We got evidence. Yes. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm so glad to hear that. One step closer to the finish line. That's all I'm saying.
Southern Bear, do I sound like I'm out of Italy?
Oh, yeah. Somebody said they wanted you to speak Italian.
I can't speak Italian. I can just pronounce Italian when I read it.
Bella. Mucho bella.
Non è possibile per me così.
Okay. So Matthew Whitaker was apparently doing funding for a company that was researching time travel, you guys. Absolutely love that. Also had a company that was investigating Bigfoot, Sasquatch. You gotta love that.
This is Matthew Whitaker?
This is the Matthew Whitaker. He also patented an extra deep toilet for gentlemen of a certain stature. I was like, gotta get one.
Oh boy.
So funny. I wish I could find the article because they were trying to make him look crazy, but I was just like, this guy's a baller.
Actually, the time travel thing is the one that interests me the most. That ties in directly to the kind of stuff that Bob Lazar has talked about. I don't know if you've ever gone down that road.
I have. I've actually met Bob Lazar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to get him for an interview here on the program.
You had better. Dear, I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah. It was cool. I'm just saying that. I was starstruck.
Wow.
we only talked about science. We just talked about science and free energy and stuff like that. I knew that.
And once you've heard his story, you've heard his story.
Exactly. And I knew that he's stated and this was several years ago, before he did this recent documentary. He was really under the radar. He was not trying to gain any notoriety. He was not trying to get the attention. And so I didn't go there. I was like, please talk about this. Bring it up. Okay, here's a question. Big Red G asks, what do you think Russell J. Gould do you think that Russell J. Gould is legit? And what does NeonRevolt think of him? Are you familiar with this at all, Neon?
No, I'm not.
Russell J. Gould. Okay, it's this quantum grammar, or the restructuring of grammar in a certain way to take out the ability for it to be used against us. It's applicable in like contract law and in court proceedings. I think in that respect that, that's correct. Were you aware that in 1999 there was a third and final bankruptcy in the United States?
No.
Yeah. Third bankruptcy of the United States. Now,
of the United States government?
The United States government. I can tell you guys that was real. That actually happened. I witnessed congressmen talking about it, voting on whatever they were going to do there, like on the floor of Congress, okay? So the United States was bankrupt. They went bankrupt in 1999. Now, due to, I guess, certain rules, apparently there was this opportunity for the official United States. Well, do you know the United States is a corporation?
I've heard this. I'm not sure I particularly buy the line of logic, because every time I've seen this explained, I see some leaps that I don't think are substantiated, but I'm willing to hear you out.
It's true. The United States government was replaced with this fictional corporate entity. And I don't exactly know how it works, but it's not just the United States. It's every country on the planet. Yes, War Castles. If you guys want to check it out, War Castles. I suggest looking at it, and you guys make up your own minds. But I like Russell. I like Robert Horton. They're good men. And they care about the country, and they care about restoring us in the same way that I think President Trump does. They're just going at it from different angles. But so there is a corporate entity that was created to kind of lay over the official governmental institutions that we have. So each of these governmental offices now sits vacant. The official original, like, government office and whatever the elected thing is, each one of these things is vacant. But in its place is this acting corporate entity, and it allows, it allows for a lot of different things that are no good.
So basically, you're talking like City of London on a national scale.
Yes, and it all goes back to that. Now, there is a guy, I'm going to recommend this to you, my friend Scott Bartle, and who is going to be on the program very soon. And I want you guys to be here for that, because this is who woke me up to all this. I got a lot of respect for Scott. He's an Australian, and he was trying to import his Corvette to Australia, an American car to Australia. And this is how he discovered that this was taking place. It's not just the offices. It's like the coat of arms. They duplicated everything and created these fictional entities for them. And in finding out what was going on in Australia, he discovered that the same thing's happening in all these other countries all over the world. Real quick, For Ron says, back to your time travel comments, Andrew D. Bajago, and he ran for president in 2016. Look up his website. He was part of Project Pegasus as a child. I am familiar with Andrew Bajago. I was cautiously awaiting to see if the claims by Andrew were to come true in 2016. Do you know about Andrew Bajago?
I'm not aware of this man, no.
He is a lawyer. He's a lawyer, and he claimed that he, as a child, was part of something called Project Pegasus, which was a time travel experiment by the United States government. There's a picture of a child at a Lincoln rally, like Abraham Lincoln, and he's wearing like these big shoes. He's got an adult's coat on, and he's like standing in the middle of this muddy field while people
I've seen this. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Andrew Basiago says that's him, and it's interesting. Okay, I don't know if it's true or not. I love it. I'll be real honest. Absolutely, just I love it.
The screenwriter in me loves it.
Yeah, totally. But the things that Andrew was predicting and that were supposed to happen in 2016, they did not come true. So I mean, because the idea was. I'm not going to blow it for everybody. I want you guys to go look into it because I would love to interview Andrew. I think that would be really, really cool. Shock Mister says, Zelda Ocarina of Time leads you to Italy. Brother and sister, ring a bell. I've never played that game, guys. But
I hate that game.
Tell me why.
I hate that game with a burning passion. I don't even know how to explain it because that came out when I was, around the right age for it. And it felt like such a downgrade from what I had on the PC. I had Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2 on it, or was it 2 or 1? Anyways, I got to run around on these gigantic levels with a lightsaber doing anything I wanted. And then all of a sudden I'm locked in at 20 frames per second, hopping around as this little elf guy in a skirt. And I'm like, this sucks. Why does anybody like this? I'm sorry. That's a tangent.
It's okay. You guys, we're waiting. Oh, Robert Horton just sent me a text message, guys. Hang on. Let me see. Robert must be watching the show. They mirrored it. Russ mirrored it too, using grammar correctly. Robert and Russ are going to come back on the show, guys. So if you guys have any questions for them, then you're going to get the opportunity to answer them. But from what I've learned about, what they are talking about, it's true. It's true. Whether or not we can do anything about it, that's another question, because it is a question of enforcement. Eddie Mitchell, thank you very much for that super chat. I appreciate it. But Robert knows what he's talking about. If what Russ has achieved with this new manner of speaking and writing, it's not so much verbally, but it's in writing in terms of court documents and stuff. It's true. What he's doing. He is creating something that can't be used against us in the same way that grammar is used against us right now. I can tell you that from the courts, the way the court is set up, and I've heard this for years, the definitions that they have for words that they use in court proceedings don't mean what you think they mean. And they can trick you into giving your rights away by asking you certain things and asking you to, basically pay fealty to the judge. And, I don't know. Do you know anything about that court stuff? The idea of sovereignty and the laws and the way that they're put together in courts. Do you have any experience?
I'm definitely not too well versed in that. Ultimately, at the end of the day, everything's a legal fiction.
Yes.
So it's all. When you mentioned quantum grammar, the first thing that popped into my mind is like, oh, this is like spellcasting for a scientific age. That's what it sounds like.
It could be.
In a certain way, you're talking about certain words, keywords affecting of the physical world in a certain predictable outcome. That's exactly what a spell is. So not endorsing that. Don't get me wrong and saying, oh, Neon's talking about witchcraft. He's not at all. Not what I mean.
Meme magic.
Yeah. Well, to a certain degree, if you want to talk about something like, you can even get into collective consciousness with something like meme magic.
Absolutely.
And if you want to, then you start going down what is reality actually? Is it just a simulation?
Yes.
I actually tend to take the religious simulation angle on things. That's just me.
I believe you. The evidence is there. You guys, I'm still actually waiting on Ellen and Scott her political advisor. Unfortunately, they have not responded to my invitation to come tonight, so I can't say that they're going to be here. We may have them join us tomorrow. I don't know. Something could have happened. Obviously, they're in a different time zone, so I don't know what's going on. But unfortunately, they haven't made contact. Hopefully, they're okay. I wish them the best. But I would love for Ellen and Scott to be here on the show with us. But Neon said that he could go ahead and hang out with us until they got here, and so far they're not here.
Yeah, no worries, guys. I'll hang out here as long as Red Pill wants, and we can talk about a number of different things. I know I tantalized my readers inadvertently the other day when I posted on Gab. I said, I've got an article coming, but I don't think I'm going to publish it just yet. Which is probably, I know it's probably about the worst thing I can say.
Right.
It looks like I'll never be publishing that article now. Now you guys will never know what it's about it's because of the 8chan status that they just posted. It looks like it won't be necessary.
Okay. All right.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Candy De Leon says, is everything okay with Linda Paris? I thought she was going to be she was going to be on tonight, but then it turned out that it would be better for her. And I thought, because I had this guest that had to come on before the election, that it was going to be necessary for Linda to be here next Friday. She is the headliner for next Friday. But unfortunately, it's not, it's just going to be me and Neon for the time being. I'm still waiting to hear back from Scott and Ellen. We had been planning this for a couple of weeks now. Shockmister wants you to get back on Twitter.
Red Pill, can you tell Shockmister that I am permabanned from Twitter and that they will never allow me back on as long as I live because I have offended the censors so much.
Yeah. And I would say that you really didn't offend anybody.
I know.
No, you're sometimes you're a little bombastic, but I mean,
sure.
But it's not any worse than anybody else on Twitter. I had people, threatening my life, and
right.
It took like multiple times of that happening, before anything was done about it.
Right. So they never, when they banned me, they did not give me a notification of any kind of violation. They just locked me out of my account. No email, no word, no nothing. Said, you're no longer allowed here. It's like, okay, well, I see how it goes. And that's why I'm on Gab, and that's why I've been on Gab for so long. That's where everybody can find my content. You need to go over there because I cannot physically come over on the mainstream platforms. They nuke my accounts every time.
Shockmister says, DARPA control it, now stop it. Are you talking about qmap.pub? Because it seemed like before I remembered you mentioned DARPA in connection to qmap.pub. If that's the case, I mean, it's news to me. I don't know. If that is the case, then feel free to find your own favorite, Q posting
I don't
website.
believe that's the case at all. I don't know where he's getting that information from. However, if some people are not comfortable with that, the QAnon.pub site is an open source site. That aggregates all the posts. I run a QAnon.pub mirror on my own site. You can download it all yourself. So there are solutions around it if you really believe that, but I don't think that belief is founded.
He actually clarified and said Twitter. That one I do believe.
It's Project Deep Dream.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm
gonna address the spicy question. Okay,
what's that?
Edwin Lobato asks, "What's up with NeonRevolt and In the Matrix? Can you guys just make up?" I offered Matrix a chance to, and he decided not to. And this was prior to going public with the information on the Ramtha organization, and he has chosen to insult me and lie about me repeatedly. He said 3 key lies about me: that I was harvesting people's information using Bitcoin, which doesn't even make sense on a technical level. He said also that I was from the Bahamas, and I'm serious. I'm serious.
I know.
And the reason he said that was because he did a whois lookup on my site, and he saw that my site was registered with a privacy corporation in the Bahamas.
Right.
And that is not what that means. It's just that it means that In the Matrix is an idiot who doesn't know how to read whois information. I am not from the Bahamas. I'm sorry. And then there was another lie in there. I wrote about it a while back. I really don't care at this point.
Yeah.
What In the Matrix does to me, he's just a boomer who repeats platitudes over and over in exchange for super chat donations from people who feel they need someone to give them a pacifier and tell them everything's okay and rah 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 patriot blah blah blah. So it ultimately, to me, and he'll probably listen to this later, Matrix, you're boring. It's just the truth. You don't offer anything of substance. Come at me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, everything will work itself out in the end.
I'm not worried about it. And you know what? And hey, here, you know what? I'll even extend the olive branch once more. If you want to make up and say, you know what, I was really misguided, and tell the people that you were wrong for teaming up with the Ramtha organization, I will welcome you back with open arms. But until that happens, you've still chosen poorly.
Let's see. Someone had said, waste of time says enough about Q already. Well, as long as people are asking, I don't really see the problem. Let's see. There was, I think somebody asked where they could get a coffee mug. I put the link into the chat box. It's teespring.com/stores/redpill78. We actually have an entire line of merchandise that was designed by my good friend Brianna Eves. She is available for your graphic design project. All you need to do is reach out to her on Twitter, Bri Eves 1745. She does some quality work. Really, this is my favorite coffee mug, not just because it has my information on it, but it's the perfect size coffee mug.
That's nice. Yeah, actually, I not to resurrect it, but Wheezy Girl was right. Just look at the way In the Matrix treated Red Pill when he did the interview. Red Pill was very fair, gave them open opportunity, and they could not handle it. They melted down live on air.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to answer this question here. It says, NeonRevolt, when will you be able to get your book in the UK? It's available right now on Amazon. So you go to Amazon, they will. I don't know what the shipping is like, but there is going to also be a Kindle version, so that will be available as well. It's an option. Those come out on the 6th, so they will be shipping after the 6th.
I was actually going to drop the link if anybody wanted to purchase the book or at least pre-order it, because it's on sale right now. I believe it's
actually they have it discounted. I put there. It's in the chat there.
1903. Okay, thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Amazon sets the prices to whatever they want. They could literally buy out my stock and give them away if they wanted. So if you miss the Indiegogo, you will be getting it a little bit cheaper here.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody right there. And the only bad thing about it is that it's paperback instead of it being the hard copy. So I understand that's not a big thing for everybody. I like the hardcover.
I'm right there with you. I love hardcover. The problem is the cost. I would not have been able to get a book this large in full color, on a 70-pound paper, which makes the images look fantastic. Yeah. That is almost 500 pages with a hardcover at the price point that I did. That would really require a big publisher who is able to do runs of hundreds of thousands of books to minimize the costs. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I completely understand why you did this in paperback. I mean, it makes it a lot easier for most people to get it. So here
it is a French flat paper book, so it does have like the little winglets inside on the cover, which is nice.
Yeah. It was difficult for me to film Alexandria Occasional Cortex. It's a bummer. I haven't talked about it on purpose. I mean, it was scarring. Whatever, I moved on. There's no problem.
Someone's asking me, will there be an audiobook? Probably at some point.
Oh, dude, that's perfect for you.
Well, we'll see if I can actually get through my own book and recording it. It'd literally be in front of this microphone.
Yeah. Somebody said we need to talk about corporate USA. Hopefully that's what I was getting at with Scott coming on the program. Scott, please, I hope you're listening, and that you guys can reach out to me, because we've got a lot to talk about here. This is a big subject, and I think it's very important. And it's something that needs to be uncovered. There is so much going on behind the scenes, just in general. I think that we, the community, we know a lot about what's going on, but by no means do we understand the full depth of everything that is happening. Just imagine how much stuff we don't know. And on that note, I do want to give everybody a preview of who's coming on tomorrow. David Weiss. I don't know if anybody knows who he is. I'm sure that many of my listeners do. He's got something called the Flat Earth Podcast. This is going to be an opportunity for David to come here and try to change my mind that the world is not a spinning globe. And I think it's going to be great. Whether or not you change your mind or maybe you change David's mind, I don't know. But we're going to do a call-in for the last half of the show. It will be a call-in. People can call and ask David questions. I'm very, very excited about this tonight. Supermax1234 says 11 hours, 38 minutes. 8kun comes back from lab partner. Okay, sweet. I'm definitely interested in that.
So apparently, I didn't know this. This is new. It looks like Amazon has approved a Kindle version of my book as well. I just dropped the link.
Is that what that was?
In the chat. Yeah. That is going to release on the 6th as well. And they actually adjust the print length. The print length is 827 pages.
Oh, wow.
In the Kindle version. So this is substantial. I tried to pack in a lot of value.
Very substantial. Look at that. How cool. Dude, I'm so proud of you. Everything that you've done with this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. It's been super exciting in a number of different ways. Just because I went from like reading your stuff to like being able to have you on my show, and then getting your book. It was just watching this whole evolution happen.
Dude, but how awesome is your show? The fact that you do this like for a living, this is great.
Yeah, it blows my mind sometimes. Still,
this is something that couldn't have even existed 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
And you do it better than 90%, 95% of the people out there. Seriously.
Wow. I mean, I really appreciate that. I feel like maybe you're being a little kind, but
no, you're in the upper echelon, for serious.
Wow, that's really crazy for me. That's definitely crazy.
I'm not even joking. I'm not just blowing smoke. Like every time I see your show, I'm impressed with the quality of the questions and the way you get answers from these different individuals you're talking to, and even sometimes just kick back and have a good time with the people. That's great. Yeah. That's what you need to see. So
definitely. Well, I mean, speaking of that, Neon, what do you think about taking a couple calls?
I mean, we can try, sure.
I've started doing this at the tail end of the show, and
that's wild. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I just want to make sure you were comfortable with it. Okay, guys. So, that's not what I wanted to do. You guys, you're going to have an opportunity to call into the program. You can choose to show your face or not. And thank you to everybody in the chat. And I'm extremely humbled. I love having you guys here with me on the weekends. This is the best job I could ever have, to be able to bring this information to you. Oh, this is probably way too much. And be able to do what I love. Okay, here we go. I think that this is it. You guys try this, and we'll get some callers in here. You guys can call in on Zoom with your computer or call in with the Zoom app on your phone. And again, I'm not going to give the phone number out for people to call in from their phone, because then your phone number will appear on the screen. And for many people, that's not something they want to do. But I do recommend, if you don't have the Zoom app, go ahead and download it on your phone. Go ahead and use that link. And we have our first caller. Michaela, you're on the air with Red Pill 78 and NeonRevolt. How you doing tonight?
Are you talking to me?
Michaela?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I've never done this before. I just wanted to say thank you, Neon, for your book. It is amazing. I love all the color pictures. It just really brought your work to life. And that's all I wanted to just call and say thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for supporting it.
Appreciate that, Michaela.
I got it when it was on the thank you very much. What is it called? The Indiegogo.
Have you been able to share it with anyone?
Not yet. I tried sharing it with my husband. He's like a little weird. He thinks I'm crazy.
That's okay. It's going to be on the shelf for when stuff starts hitting the fan.
Yeah,
and he's going to be like, Can I take a peek at that?
I knew,
That's what
I,
he's
knew I
gonna
should have
do.
read this earlier.
I'm convinced. It's gonna hit him one of these days. And we're like, oh my God, you were right.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for supporting the campaign.
No moment ever.
Well, thank
All
you,
right.
Michaela. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Acrid Fusion, you're next on the air with Red Pill 78 and NeonRevolt. How you doing, buddy?
Hey. Oh, he's muted.
I'm sorry. I got to unmute you. You are now unmuted, Acrid Fusion. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I've been watching you probably for about a year now, a little over a year. Just really amazed at how far everything has come along, all the current events going on. It's a blessing, really.
It definitely is. I appreciate the fact that you've stuck with me through all the growing pains. It means a lot. Did you have any questions for NeonRevolt?
No, not really. I've only been able to watch half the stuff. See, I'm a truck driver, and I've been drive this whole life.
Okay.
But I wanted to let you know that there are a lot of people like me that just sit back. We watch on our big screen TVs when we're at home. We just don't chat. But everything you're doing is great and spot on. I barely ever have a chance to get on the computer or the phone app to even chat. So just know that there's a lot of people watching that don't speak up.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I really appreciate that. We've got 3,500 people watching right now, and that blows my mind away. I don't even know how many other people are out there at home on their computers, or on their televisions. So that's cool. So do you watch it with your family?
Yeah, I do. My mom, she's kind of a Republican conservative. We just moved to a Second Amendment town in northern Arizona.
Cool.
And we fit in a lot better there than the big city of Phoenix, that's for sure.
That's
All right.
fantastic.
Awesome. Well, listen, Acrid Fusion, thank you for calling, and continue to watch it and call in next time we have the show.
Awesome, and I look forward to seeing Linda next Friday. Everybody keeps asking.
I
She's
know.
on next Friday.
I know. She'll be on first. So, okay, thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Yep, bye-bye. All right, next up we have Luke Sly Talker.
There
Luke,
he is.
You are unmuted, Luke. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, man. So I saw that in the chat,
man.
you said
I'm
you have an
hanging in.
app now?
Yeah, so that was something I wanted to do for a little bit. I put together some of the Stego tools that I use, and I'm able to port them to have like a web interface. So me and another buddy are working on taking the code and basically putting it up on a server so anyone can have access to it. But the only problem is I don't want to leave a server open and let people upload whatever to it, because we have to secure it and all this other stuff. But that's kind of the plan. So I have it going. I have LSB steganography methods that are covered. That's just gobbledygook for one of the versions of steganography it can check for. There's a whole bunch of others, but I got one down. It looks cool. It works so far, so we're working on the rest of them.
Sweet, dude. Awesome.
But I had a question for NeonRevolt.
Go for it.
Regarding screenwriting. How did you get into screenwriting?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I mean, I wanted to do it since I was young, getting work in the movies. I think I originally wanted to really direct, but then I realized, I'm not so sure that's the angle I want to go. And as I got older, I realized I'm really good at this writing stuff. And in essence, directing was financially out of reach for me. So, you hit a button there, I think, Red Pill, I think.
Oh yeah, it's all good. I got it.
Oh, sorry. No, it was on my end. I just saw something never mind. Sorry. So yeah, directing was just financially out of reach for me. So I said, well, really everything begins with the idea, with the writing. So I can essentially direct on the page from the inception of the film. And that's really what I started to pursue. And then I, pursued it for a number of years. I did it in a bunch of different ways. So I would, and I write about this a little bit in the book, where I would, during my lunches at school, I would just get as many DVDs as I could and watch as many movies as I could. And I continued that all throughout college. I took a screenwriting course in college, and then I went out to a small screenwriting school in LA, and I was out there for a number of years. And that's really, how I got into it. But of all the things I never expected is that any of that would translate into something like this, which I just started doing out of sheer frustration with the political climate. Go ahead.
I mean, obviously, I love your writing. Absolutely love your writing, and would love to pick your brain over a Gab or something on some screenwriting stuff. It's something I've been interested in, and like I said, you know what you're talking about, so I'd have a few extra questions for you behind the scenes.
Well, you're on Gab. I know you didn't like it when you tried to upload some images, but if you feel like messaging me on that, you'd have to just do, and keep doing it until I see it. I get a lot, so I might not see it initially. You could also always try to contact me through Keybase. I do have my Keybase information up on Gab.
Okay, I'll find you on one of the two. You'll be hearing from me within the next week or so. I look forward to talking to you about it, man. Anyway, Luke, love you on the show. Love your writing. Appreciate it, guys.
All right,
thanks, man.
I appreciate you too, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
And thanks for that app. That sounds like it's going to be big.
Yeah, awesome. All right, up next we have, I believe, 44 Ron. Let me just unmute you, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really well. I just want to make sure you guys know that I really appreciate everything you guys do. Red Pill, your show has been phenomenal. Me and my little brother, we were on it all the time, and we're just shouting you out nonstop. Red Pill, and NeonRevolt. Your stuff's been there from the beginning. Just keeping track of it has been so awesome. I just want to make sure you guys know that we really appreciate everything you guys do, especially in the lull with the queue being gone. So
yeah. Well, thank you for that.
So this thumbs up. And this thumbs up. So
what happened?
Sitting at a Chili's, just soaking it all in, guys. Really appreciate you.
That's awesome.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate you watching. I'm sure that Neon appreciates you reading as well. What happened to your arm, dude?
This right here is the broken fifth metacarpal. It collided with someone's face.
A leftist. Awesome.
No, and I'm drinking the tears right here.
There you go. All right.
Keep it up, guys. You guys are great.
Ron, I appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Thanks,
we'll
Ron.
talk to you soon. Peace. All right. And up next, we have Frosty the Bear. Frosty, let me just get you unmuted, my friend. Are you there? Frosty the Bear, are you there? I can hear myself in the background.
I'm here.
Frosty.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, sir. How you doing?
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. We got you. 5x5.
I'm doing well. How are you? Oh, gee. I've got
Yeah, you got to turn
Beck in the background.
Yeah,
It's
turn
not
the
working
sound
well.
off in the background.
I think we've got a little bit of lag too. That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll manage.
We can do it. I can hear myself.
Okay, guys. I'll tell you what. This is not going to work. I've got my speakers off. I got an audio issue, so thank you very much. You guys are doing great.
We appreciate you. And
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, have a great night, Frosty. Bye-bye, brother. All right. We have Yensid. That's right, Yensid. What's up, Yensid? How you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good, Red Pill and Neon.
That.
I wanted to point out an article I ran across.
Okay.
It is by a gentleman, or it's an interview of a gentleman named Oleg Tsarev, Tsarev. He's an ex-Rada for Ukraine, and he's the guy that did the famous tech camp speech in the Rada in 2013, where he talked about the State Department creating a technology camp to create Russian bots, which are really Ukrainian bots.
Okay.
But he's got an article on Un's Review. The article title is "The Plundering of Ukraine by Corrupt American Democrats." And he breaks down the whole setup. It turns out Burisma was just a smokescreen to keep them from basically taking down all the oligarchs that were having to pay Poroshenko for the gas. Because see, basically, the oligarchs buy natural gas cheap, and the IMF made them raise the prices of the gas, and then the oligarchs made a bunch of money, so Poroshenko was taking his cut. Now, the funny thing is he names a gentleman by the name of Mr. Alexander Daniluk as the whistleblower. He was working the investigation of Sam Kislin and the DOJ led to. He was the finance minister of Ukraine at the time, and he essentially he was the guy that laundered the $3 billion of aid over 3 years that that Biden was talking about the last year. That was the last billion tranche payment. And so he's saying Alexander Daniluk was on the call with Zelensky on the Ukrainian end, and he is saying that he might be the guy talking about it. But what the big deal is that the whole thing about Joe Biden and Hunter is that was just a smokescreen to allow them to launder millions of dollars through Joe and family and other people. And so, like I say, if you jump out there, it's unz.com. And then the guy that wrote the article is Israel Shamir.
Yeah, I found it reprinted on a couple of other websites. I dropped a link into the chat, you guys. So
it is an amazing article because it just blows the door off everything. This all started back in 2013. And also another thing is look up a miniseries documentary by Fluorescent Gray called, or otherwise known as Robbie Martin. That's Abby Martin's brother. And he did a really good documentary covering events from 9/11 to Ukraine called A Very Heavy Agenda. And it's available on Vimeo for download, and I have them uploaded to Google Docs. If you want a link, I can share them with you.
Please do. Yes.
I will do that.
Okay.
And because it covers everything, Victoria Nuland, McCain, the handing out of the cookies.
Yep.
And it's crazy. So that's all I wanted, just to get the word out on this one article, because Oleg is the guy that blew the whistle on the whole State Department funding and setting up all these tech guys in Ukraine. And it's just, nasty.
Awesome.
That was it. All right.
I appreciate it, Jensen. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Let's see. Up next, we have my good friend and future guest, again, returning next weekend, Charles Pixley.
Nice.
Charles, let me just unmute you there, sir. How you doing, bud?
Great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Charles. How are you, sir?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, Charles. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I turned off my speaker, so I couldn't tell if you were hearing me. I have one question. I love both of you guys. I just got Neon's book. I'm very well.
Thank you.
I love you both. I just got your book. I turned off my speakers.
Yeah, turn off your speakers on the computer, because that will mess you up. You won't be able to speak.
I have only one question. What is the most profound revelation that Neon discovered in all of his research to put this book together?
The most profound thing in the book itself. I think... the book is huge, so to pick just one, and I've been in this for so long that in a certain respect, it's almost like the revelations lose their shock value after a while. I think for me, it has to do with the Brotherhood of the Snake and going back to ancient mystery cults and possibly beyond, which I speculate a little bit on in the book. But that was probably, for me, what was the key to unlocking, understanding all this, at least as I understand it currently. The way I feel about it is my understanding of things is it's always evolving and it's always changing in the light of, as I understand new information. So I'm more than happy to course correct. And I've done that many times in the past, but right now, as I understand it, this all basically ties back to that specific mystery cult, and everything we're seeing are different manifestations and iterations of that.
Wow. Floricio says, funny how President Zelensky from Ukraine was an actor and a comic and became a politician. The Democrats were politicians and have now become comics and actors. Thanks, Dems, for the jokes you've become, and bad actors, too. I would say you're right on the money. I was thinking that it was funny that he was formerly an entertainer, and Donald Trump was also formerly an entertainer. I would have to think that Zelensky's success must have something, similar in common with Donald Trump. I mean, didn't he also run on the idea that, he was going to end corruption? He was going to basically drain the Ukrainian swamp?
He definitely ran on a similar platform, and Ukraine is notoriously much more corrupt than anything we're even aware of over here in the US. So, but the way I like to think about it is, it's so easy to dismiss someone as just an entertainer or just an actor.
Yeah.
But that is a whole skill set that people don't realize takes years to hone. And it's again, I'm going to steal from Scott Adams here, where you have different skills that you acquire in your life and you build up a unique set that is specific to you. And for someone like a comedian, it's not just public speaking, it's being able to respond to a critic really fast on your feet in a way that doesn't just bore people, but actually captures their attention. Not everybody can do that. And actually, it's really funny to see, because some of my readers will know that I've been moving some of my content over to TikTok lately. TikTok, well, yeah.
The dance videos.
Right. There's a lot of goofiness on there, and that's partially why I love it. I love the memes, but and of course, it was just announced today that there's a big investigation going into the security of it, and you can look at that one of two ways. You can say, okay, this is a Chinese company putting little data vacuums in every person's phone in the country, or you can look at it as, is this just the Dems trying to get control over a platform that they don't control and which doesn't censor right-wing people yet? Because if you go on there, you will find a shocking amount of Trump support and right-wing content, conservative content that you're not seeing anywhere else. And a lot of it's hilarious. And that's what makes it effective. But by stark contrast, and this was the point I wanted to get to, this is one of the first media platforms I've seen where the left doesn't have a foothold. Not yet. Some early adopters are there, but they're outnumbered right now. And you're starting to see Hollywood people just get on, and they are flopping so hard. It's like cringe. So there's accepted formats and accepted, just ways you do things. And I saw a video of Kate Beckinsale, and it's she used a song that was popular at the time, but it was just a picture of her doing a selfie strut on a red carpet with the song in the background. And it was you don't get this app at all. You don't get why people use that song. You don't get, there was a disconnect. And I'm seeing that over and over and over. And you want to cringe. You want to cringe to so hard that you feel it in your guts. It's go visit the Washington Post's TikTok account. It is a nonstop stream of cringe. Go look at the video SNL just posted. Look at the top voted comments. It's one of mine on the SNL on an SNL video, because it's just but
they are failing. They're failing at the culture war. We are beating them handily. Can you get to TikTok from just the regular internet from here?
You can, but it's hard to navigate intentionally. So you're not going to get the full functionality.
Yeah. Real quick, Laura Thompson said, Matrix doesn't have a humble bone in his body. All he can do is talk about how censored he is and how much Q has cued him. I do listen to him, but when he starts bragging so much, it makes me sick. Well, thank you for that super chat, and I appreciate your candor. Definitely.
Laura Thompson, you're an absolute savage. I love you.
It's true. EO2 Dave says, I got to watch The Trayvon Hoax, a Joel Gilbert film. I really recommend it. It exposes Democrat race baiting for votes. Yeah,
cool.
How many times did you hear that a white man shot an unarmed black teen in Florida? And then you take a look at George Zimmerman, and you realize that something's not right. The narrative that they're telling, it doesn't quite line up. Hey,
stop noticing. Stop noticing.
Yeah. B-Tech Vendetta. Whoa, what's up with the lady? Yes, I know who you're talking about. And Cindy Absug. We are going to have Cindy back on again, and it's probably going to be, I'm booking a month and a half out right now, you guys. So anytime I have to shuffle anything around, it really upsets the balance of the force. But I'm looking at trying to get Cindy back on, in about 4 or 5 weeks. Red Pill 78, throw Matrix a bone. Shockmister, I don't want to talk badly about anybody, and I'm certainly, not going to. I don't want to start a war, that's not what I want to. So, I'm not going to, I don't even want to talk about it anymore, to be quite honest with you. But if everybody could respect that, I'd appreciate that. Southern Rebel, you are here with Red Pill 78 and NeonRevolt. What are you doing?
She's muted, or he's muted.
Is he? Oh, he is. Southern Rebel, you should be, well, it will not allow me to unmute you. Southern Rebel, hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I wanted to ask you guys a question. So I got off for a second, so I may have missed it because I saw people commenting about it in the chat. But when I got an alert from 8chan, I got off, and then I got another alert from Is It Wet Yet?
Yep.
I got off. Look, did y'all join that newsletter?
Yes.
I did. And actually, Andrew, thank you very much, had forwarded me that email. I didn't actually get this email, and I'm on the mailing list, so I don't know where it's at. But there is an email that went out that says the final countdown. This is it. We are roughly 12 hours away from everything going live. Thank you for all your patience and steadfast support. And so then they talk about,
record yourself saying one of the phrases. Did you get that?
Yeah. Is it wet yet?
Yeah.
8 Coon, Project Odin, and any number between 10 and 0.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was wondering, I don't know. I don't really want to do that.
Well,
I have the Louisiana voice here,
You could just, I think, if they have a bunch of people doing a bunch of different numbers, then they'll be like 1, and then they'll just cut them all together. I think that's kind of that's a good idea. And the idea that, if we end up in an 8chan commercial, guys, or a video on Jim's channel, I think a lot of people would be psyched for that.
That'd be cool. But yeah, I went to the webpage too, and they have the countdown on there. So it's pretty exciting.
It is very exciting. For anybody asking, you just go to isitwetyet.com. Isitwetyet.com. Every time I say it, it's like something twitches in my brain. I'll
tell you this right now. Yeah. Little Frederick Brennan is having a bit of a meltdown.
Yeah. Oh, is he right now? What'd he say? What'd he say?
Oh, let's see. I gotta look. It's just a lot of statuses. I noticed he posts a lot of statuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here he goes. As I've proven before, 8kun software already has a feature where the admin can configure the server to display any trip code for any password entered. Meaning, if you don't trust Jib and Ron Watkins, Q's verification is worth nothing. Oh, well, there he is, spreading FUD.
Yeah.
I'll say this much, because this was actually part of my original article. FUD, for those who have never heard the term, stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yeah. And this has been the key to, I call him Judas Ass Chariot now, Frederick Brennan. He that has been the key strategy he has been using. He spreads FUD wherever he goes in terms of 8kun coming back online. He contacts these companies to say, oh, these are, he runs with the mainstream narrative. You guys all know what it is. And he tries to implant seeds of doubt about Jim and Ron Watkins, because if you look into the history, it is not quite exactly what Brennan says. He is manipulating and very much, well, I won't have to say much now that it looks like 8kun's actually coming back online, thankfully.
Yeah.
But
very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred's changing his depends tonight.
Maybe his caretaker is.
Poor guy.
Okay, guys, I just wanted to chat and make sure you guys saw that and see if y'all were going to record.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Southern Rebel. Have a wonderful evening.
Bye, you too.
Bye-bye.
Here's an interesting one, just real quick.
Go for it.
Brennan writes, tomorrow is most likely the day for it to come online. DigitalOcean has so far ignored our abuse reports, probably because it's not online yet, and we can all show its archives as proof that 8kun and 8chan are one and the same. Never underestimate Ron's ability to fail, though. Well, I think, Mr. Brennan, you are the one who is going to fail in this regard. And DigitalOcean is perfectly within their rights to ignore the FUD you are spreading.
Oh, man. Yeah, people are asking if our favorite Anon is coming back tomorrow. I guess I think that it's important to note that even if 8kun does come online tomorrow, it doesn't mean that that particular poster is going to be posting tomorrow. Hopefully, right. I mean, that'd be great. And I do just one more thing. I see people, asking me to say one thing. I'm not going to say one thing or another, bad or good, about anybody in particular. I mean, like, I just I want everybody to be successful, and I want everybody to be working towards the same goal. And if somebody's behavior has caused other people to, call them out, that's up to them.
Red Pill is a lot nicer than I am. Let's put it that way. And this is his show, so we're going to respect that.
Yes, thank you very much. Now, did you see this in Utah? The United Nations took over a public building, and they're calling it UN property. Do you know anything about this?
I don't know anything about it. I've only seen a couple isolated reports, so I'm wondering about the veracity of it. And sometimes, it's a dumb employee saying something stupid, So I'm. Go ahead. I
was just going to say, she appears to be a woman of Caribbean descent, at least from her accent,
Mm-hmm.
and she's wearing like a UN security uniform. And I don't know.
Yeah, I saw a little bit about that. Again, it's almost ties back into your the whole statement you said about the U.S. becoming a corporation.
Yeah.
It comes down to enforcement.
Yeah.
How much of this stuff can actually be so is this woman just saying something that's wrong? Is it actually the UN making a power grab here? What's the actual power balance look like? I don't think we actually know. We need more info before we can make a correct determination.
I think so too. I'm not particularly worried about the UN taking over. I mean, they don't have their own army. It's made up of people from other countries. Cajun Vapes said that they purchased your book. They pre-ordered your book, and they wanted me to say thank you for that.
Well, just real quick to anybody, I've seen a couple other people in the chat. Thank you to anybody who has gone and pre-ordered tonight. That's really awesome of you guys. I really hope you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. I know you guys are going to enjoy it. It's a great book. I got it right next to my bed. And then also Rose Thistle Artwork said, have Finder's children, now adults, ever been found and interviewed? Also daycare children. Will you interview Johnny Gosh's mother? The answer to that is yes. If Johnny Gosh's mother will speak with me, I would interview her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be a difficult interview, but it would be very, very good. I think that it'd be fascinating. And as far as Finders, I don't know. I think that those children are just gone. I've never heard anything else about them. But in regards to the McMartin preschool children, I believe that there have been some that spoke as an adult or later on in life. Also, Wheezy Girl, my mod, what's up, Wheezy? There was a UN conference at that state building in Utah, and now they're gone. So, and it's something that we were people were worried about, and they wanted it checked out, and I think that was it. I buy it. I buy that the UN was just there for a little bit. I mean, they're practically bankrupt. I mean, they're not going to be operating for very long, and it's no big deal.
It's almost like if the UN tried to invade us, because that's really the fear, right?
Right.
That's the fear that this article is trying to evoke. We pay the UN's bills. How long do you think they can sustain? They can't.
They can't.
So I don't think it's a real threat. I think it was just a little bit of overreaction.
Yes, yeah. They don't own anything, they don't own Schiff, as Shockmister says.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely right.
We've got 4 minutes left, you guys. Is there anybody else that wants to ask NeonRevolt a question, or I'll answer a question if anybody has one. But before anybody else gets on the phone, Neon, I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out here for the full 2 hours with me. It means a lot. And, your kind words mean so much to me. I am humbled to be in the presence of giants, yourself included. And, it's been, every time that we've had you on the show, it's been great. I'm glad that we did it live this time because, it's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun. I'm glad we got a chance to interact with the audience here. And again, thank you to everyone who has pre-ordered the book or everyone else who supported the campaign.
Yeah.
You really helping move the needle in terms of the public discourse, because I can guarantee, watch what happens when this thing starts hitting lists. We were up to the first day. I haven't even announced it yet. The first day it hit Amazon for pre-orders, we were up at number 358 or 359 out of every single book on Amazon.
Wow.
Once I really start promoting this is going to easily be in the top 100, easily.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to move the needle in a big way. Some people have asked, well, why don't you release it for free? Well, when you get on lists like this, you can't do that if you're trying to do this for free. Seriously.
No, you can't.
And there's other reasons too, which I'm not going to spoil here, but let's just say Nightfall Protocol and leave it at that for any deep staters who may be watching.
And then in regards to Ellen Zhu, you guys, I don't know what happened. Her and her people were supposed to jump on the call at 11 p.m. and they did not. So that's why I was saying earlier, I hope that they're okay. I'm going to be giving them a call once we get off of here and see if I can reach her political team. They have not read my messages, and it says that they were last seen 11 hours ago. So wow. I don't know what's up with Ellen. If Ellen and her team can appear on the show tomorrow, then they will. We might go on an hour early. We might go on an hour late. Or perhaps I'll do a special live stream with them alone on Sunday. I'm not adverse to that. I would totally have them on, with a special show. I know I don't normally go live on Sundays, but all right. Well, it looks like we've got no more callers. Nobody else is calling in. I just want to say thank you to all of the people in the chat tonight. We had a great audience tonight, almost 3,500 people the whole time. Thank you to everyone for showing up and for being so loyal and listening to the program and telling me how much you love it and my guests. Thank you to Neon. It's always a pleasure to have you here. I'm very, very grateful that we met and have become friends. It means so much to me. And, thank you for all the work you do. And yeah, I still geek out when I read your articles, dude. I mean, it's like, I said, this guy is such a good writer, and you do an excellent job researching. You really puts things together in a way that is easily digestible for anyone. Somebody who is, an expert at this stuff, or somebody who is just coming in to this subject matter, on their first day, and they can pick it up. They can go to your website and they can say, what is important. And if you've written about it, then you can bet it's something that's pretty important. All right. Well, thank you again, Neon. Thank you to the audience. We are at the midnight hour. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Friday Night Livestream with NeonRevolt. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.